Alright, so in the last video I did, I was having trouble with this adapter, getting it to work on my computer, and I still never managed to get it to function properly. And I don't know if maybe the adapter messed up, farted out, I'm not sure, it doesn't matter. But I am still trying to see if I can get this thing to work to finish off that last video. But that being said, this video here isn't really about this adapter. I'm just pointing that out to kind of sort of have some continuity with the last video that was done, which was based on this adapter and the drivers and things not working. I will return to this adapter, especially if I can manage to get it working, functioning properly again. That being said, let's move on with what this video is about. I have this here laptop. It's got a Core i5 in it with, I think it's like 4 gigs of DDR3. Old machine. It had Windows 7 on it, and it was functioning just fine. Now, I upgraded it from Windows 7 to Windows 10, and after doing that, I started having a new problem. And that is that when the machine's shut down, the power light stays lit. And the only way to make it shut off is to hold it down. I believe this is a Windows 10 power management issue, and I think I might be able to fix it with the settings. I currently have it set to battery, so it's not plugged in. I just wanted to see if maybe there was a variable there with the power adapter, or maybe the battery itself or something like that. Okay, so I'm going to turn it on. And this might take a few minutes, and I apologize for that. However, maybe if someone else has run into this situation, they will find this useful. This is a Dell Latitude E6410. As you see here, Windows is, coming on. Oh, it shouldn't take too long. Usually it boots up a little faster than this. Now that being said, when I did find this issue, I went online doing some research, and there were all kinds of things up there about resetting the BIOS back to default. Some people said they took out the BIOS battery and pulled the battery from the machine itself, and that supposedly fixed it. I'm not certain that really was it. Maybe so. I'm not sure. Oh yeah, this thing is definitely moving slower because it's not plugged into the wall. I guess that makes sense too. Anyways, the whole idea here is that when it finally gets into Windows, I'm going to shut it down so you can see that the power light will stay lit. And I'm going to show you how I believe I can fix it. I probably should have plugged this thing in, maybe. Unless maybe it's finishing up from an update from the last time, because typically getting into the Windows does not take this long. The only thing I can think of right now is that it's running slowly due to the battery being on a battery. And I do remember recently updating all of the Windows. Maybe that has a little bit of something to do with it. Alright, we're into Windows. So I'm going to... I'm doing this with my camera phone, my phone camera, whatever. So things are going to be a little bit shaky, and I apologize for that. Now, we're going to power this thing down. Go ahead and shut it down. All right. Now you see here the power, the Wi-Fi and the hard drive light indicator light's still on. It'll shut down in a moment. There. Okay. Oh. Well, usually that light turns off. There it goes. Okay. Now you see here though, that light is still on. And if I was to close, this, you'll see the indicator light for the power is on in the back too. Alright, like I said, I am doing this with one hand and a camera phone, so phone camera, whatever, same difference. Okay, so yeah, normally the only way I can get this thing to shut off is to hold this down for like, I don't know, 15, 30 seconds, and then that light goes out. I think that this is a Windows 10 power management issue that might be resolved in the settings, because I wasn't having this trouble when it was running Windows 7. And apparently, in order for me to shut it down, I'm going to have to hold that button to be able to turn it back on again. Yeah, alright, now it's off. So while we're waiting, I guess we'll talk about this real briefly. I've got the Corsair 4000D Airflow, and I'm hoping to do a new build with this. Technically, I have two of them. There's a reason for that. But my intent here is to do two versions of this case. One version is going to be a quote-unquote blacked out version, and the other one's going to be RGB with glass panels on both sides, the front and the back. Because this actually comes with just one side panel, and excuse me, what just comes with one glass side panel, and the other side is closed off. Now, the thing about that's interesting, in this case, allows you to take the glass panel and put it on the back side. They're reversible. And I know some people are really into RGB, and there are some people who hate the RGB, and my intent here is to build an RGB build and a blacked out edition. And so I'll be taking the glass panel off of this and putting it on there, and having two side panels that have no glass on that one. Alright, here we go. We're getting back into Windows here. 7 minutes this video's going on. I apologize that it's taking so long. I suppose I could have plugged the computer in. I just wanted to verify that it wasn't a battery issue or something. But I absolutely hate how slow it's taking to get back into Windows. It really isn't normally this bad. Okay. It's definitely faster on the power, which, I mean, makes sense. Oh, and I also have the Lian Li Land 2 Cool Mesh. I've been working at collecting these for a little while. In other words, you know, saving up money and like going without things. You know, like, oh, I might want to go out tonight. No, put that aside and, you know, save up for the cases and other things, stuff like that. Okay, anyways, we're back into Windows. Let's go to Settings. Alright, go to Settings. Now we're going to go to System. Alright, so we're at Power, and now we're going to scroll down to, I really am not a fan of touchpads. I really wish I had just connected a mouse to this, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Anyways, additional power settings. Now, over here it says choose what the power buttons do. I think that is where the issue might be. Okay. Oh, that looks terrible. I'm sorry if you can see that, like, the lines going up and up and up and up like that. I don't really know how to fix it. I imagine it's like a sync thing between my recording and the monitor, but I'm doing the best I can. Alright, so over here you have turn on fast startup. I think that there needs to be unchecked to solve the power light problem, which in a way kind of sucks because it's, you know, part of their fast startup, you know, where the machine just kind of sort of when you shut it down, it doesn't really completely fully shut down. It sort of kind of quasi kind of goes to sleep, even though you didn't tell it to go to sleep. It's almost like a cross between hybrid sleep and turn off or whatever, where it still sort of remembers some of the settings you have and things like that. But honestly, I don't believe that turning that off is going to cause that much of a problem. I mean, especially if it's, you know, causing issues with the machine where it's going to leave the power button lit on, you know, draining battery or draining juice and things like that. And there's really no reason to have to hold the button down to make it shut off, you know. So I think what we got to do is deal with this by turning off fast startup. And yes, I do see that it shows it's recommended, but I don't think it's going to harm the process of booting up into Windows all that terribly. So I think what we need to do is go up there and hit change settings that are currently unavailable, because as you see down here, they are grayed out. Alright. Choose settings that are not available. Now they're available. We're going to uncheck this and save changes. Okay, now that we've done that, we can close. All right, and let's try and shut it down and see what happens with that power light. And oh, by the way, this was not happening when I put Windows, I already said Windows 7 it wasn't having a problem with, but when I tried Linux on here, I wasn't having that problem either, which is what led me to believe that maybe it was just a Windows 10 thing. All right, let's shut down. Shut it down, and let's see if that power button stops staying lit. If it doesn't, then I just wasted time putting this video together, and well, I don't know if I'll post it or not. But we're going to see what happens right now. Oh, there it went. Shut down. That light went out. Ah, that one did not go out. All right, I'm going to have to keep at this and see if I can figure it out. All right, so changing the power options in Windows did not fix the issue. And I did a little bit more reading, and it seems as though it may be actually caused to setting this machine up to run with UEFI instead of legacy, the legacy default settings the way it was, because I went into the BIOS and changed it to UEFI to install it, and I think that might have been the issue. I can also check here to see what the BIOS revision number is. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm in the BIOS now. I'm going to check the BIOS revision, and I think I'm going to set it to default again, and then reinstall the operating system without UEFI. Where I had changed that was here. I had changed it from legacy to UEFI, and that had changed things up here from the Windows Boot Manager to this RAID thing, and which is funny that it's got it set for a RAID setting under the UEFI, because I always thought that people would, you know, typically set up RAID with multiple drives, and this doesn't have multiple drives, so I don't know why that's even a thing. And that was done through the BIOS when I changed it from legacy to UEFI. And down here, this is where I had changed the SATA operation from ATA to ACHI, but at some point things changed to RAID, and I don't know why, because I remember having it on ACHI. Oh, right. What I had done is I was having trouble with that power button, and what I had done is I came in here and I changed things to load defaults, and that's when it changed from ACHI to other things. And matter of fact, I even had trouble getting back into Windows because of changing some of those settings. But yeah, I do believe that that's part of the issue, is that this needs to be set back to ATA and legacy boot instead of UEFI, and then I'd have to reinstall Windows, sadly, but I believe that's what the issue is. Alright, I'll be back. Right, so I've updated the BIOS. It was running A11 and now it's running A17. So I'm going to see if that fixes it before I go through the trouble of defaulting the BIOS yet again and reinstalling Windows with non-UEFI. Alright, so let's see how this goes. Shutting it down. No. Okay, I'm going to have to reinstall the operating system using non-UEFI. Just that's the way it's going to have to be. Yeah, okay, so I did figure out how to fix it. I'm going to show you what I did. And while we're waiting for this to come up, I'll tell you real quickly. So essentially, when I did the research, there were people saying that they pulled their battery out and reset their COMS that way. Other people said something about how that they used the power management settings in Windows, and other people said that they tried updating BIOS and things like that. There were multiple varieties of potential fixes. I did see a video where one guy did manage to actually successfully get his power light to go out by using the Windows settings like I tried to do earlier. That did not work for me. It worked for him. My situation was slightly different. And that's what we're talking about right now. As you see here, we have Legacy Boot. Well, before that, you may recall there was another option in there for UEFI booting. And that's what caused the whole problem. So when I changed the operating system from Windows 7 to Windows 10, I went in here and I changed this from Legacy to UEFI. Alright? And I also changed the SATA operation from ATA to AHCI. And the only reason why I had done that is because I thought that AHCI would have worked better with UEFI, like the newer UEFI as opposed to legacy settings. Now, it's possible that I could have left it at ATA and changed it to the UEFI and not had any issues. I just wasn't specifically certain, and maybe I possibly had made a mistake by changing that to AHCI. But I do recall at one point clicking to load defaults, and after doing that, it ended up setting it to RAID on, and I wasn't really sure why it was doing that, but it was. So it had taken me quite a bit of time to figure this whole mess out. Right, so essentially, once I changed things back to ATA under the SATA operation, and set the boot sequence back to legacy, of course I had to reinstall my operating system, and that's, you know, that's just the way it is. Fortunately, the worst thing I had to do was reinstall and re-update. I hadn't really done much with the system. So, yeah, now we're back at Legacy and those other changes, right? Okay, so after changing these settings and reinstalling Windows, in a non-UEFI environment, that power light now just shuts off during shutdown. I'll show you what I mean. Oh, I missed it. Okay, now it's going to reboot, and we'll go into Windows, and then I'll shut it down, and you'll be able to see what I mean. But I also assumed that, you know, while I do know that sometimes BIOSes can get sort of corrupted or whatever, and sometimes pulling the battery can be helpful, at this point I wasn't going to pull this machine apart to access the battery. I had assumed that maybe just using system defaults in the BIOS would have been good enough. And by doing that, it had caused other problems anyways. So some of this may have been user error, but I was just trying to follow some of the things that I had read on how to get that button to shut off after the machine shut down. Because, you know, again, rather than going and pulling the BIOS battery out, I tried using default settings, and that didn't really help matters much at all. With that being said, after a little while, I managed to get it fixed. Excuse me. Alright, so now we're back into Windows. Just going to go ahead and shut it back down, and you'll see what I mean. Let's go ahead and shut it down. Shutting down. Those lights will go out. And okay, now the light's not. Oh, there it goes. Never mind. I was just going to say, why did the light go out? But I think you just saw it go out. All right. So that's how you fix it. Oh, and I also did update. I did update the BIOS too. So I tried updating the BIOS. I tried defaulting the BIOS. I tried the Windows settings under the Windows Power Management. None of those things worked. The only thing that worked was changing the BIOS settings back to the legacy settings in a non-UEFI installation. Okay. Thanks for watching. I'll have more videos up eventually soon, and I'm still going to be working on getting the adapter fixed that I had mentioned. This pain in the butt here. I'll be still working on this. Hopefully I'll be able to get this working on my machine again. Alright, thanks for watching.